in a GMP type scenario where we're negotiating what's the balance of iteration, you're relying on our expertise, which is roughly 10% of the total cost of the project. It varies 250 to 5 really. Average 10% is the cost of our oversight, our work, our expertise. The other 90% of the cost is subcontracting costs. And you're relying on us to know, to your point, which subcontractors are qualified to do the work. And then competitively bid that to those subcontractors. Raleigh Pools does the same thing. They know which technicians and which skilled tradespeople, what companies are best suited for that job. Right. So inherently built into that, even in a negotiated situation like Tim is suggesting, you're going to have 90% of the cost of construction be competitive. And you're paying for 10% of our expertise as Raleigh Pools or Beam General Contractors. Manage that work to your best advantage. And that's really the answer, I think,
which makes it a positive for everybody. So one of the things, kind of is adding on to that, through the different SDD, CDs, we'll go out to through, so a whole group of people that we pre-selected for us. Okay. So we'll narrow down a budget using a little bit numbers, but we know there's 2 more iterations of pricing coming. Typically, when we go to that DD, CD type exercise at the DD level, we're probably only going to go talk to the low 2 vendors that we've vetted already. Because we already know the other 3 guys out of the 5 out of the realm of probability of getting anywhere near the seed with dialed in lines. So we're going to talk to those 2 bourses. So that kind of goes back to where I say, really pick out certain individuals that we think are more suited for this type or size project. Curve that down at DD, and that when we're going to CD, we've really got a good idea of what sub we're going to use. We're going to go with them and only talk to them at the CD level at that point. Say, okay, here's your CD drawings. What tweaks you got to make your number to file? So that way we're never like just alienating anybody.
Started to filter out.
Sure.
And you made a great point in the beginning of your conversation. Scope gap. Okay. $200,000. They're in there. Pool deck's not in there.
That's right.
A 10,000 square foot pool deck.
It's a big number.
So let me throw. That's a great point.
Fencing. I mean, the scope gap there. Well, that's a thing that working together. We have these meetings. Say, okay, what's in your scope? What's not in your scope? My estimate has everything in, and my exclusions. Okay, and so that's kind of where the conversations come. And here you go. Read it, review it. Let's talk. Let's go over it. But compare apples to apples. I mean, it's only what you got. I mean, I just can't. I can't stress enough on it. But it's like I said. We're passionate about our job, and it's like, why did I lose that? Well, guess what? You just got a $150,000 change order because you didn't read it.
And so let me throw it. I'm going to throw a monkey wrench in the whole arts here, because you brought up a good point that kind of relates to this. So I want to hear from the group essentially your thoughts on the multiple prime scenario, where the owner is going to the GC for the building, separate site contractor direct, and to Raleigh Pools direct or a pool contractor direct. What is the allure of that temptation, and what are the potential pitfalls?
Pitfalls of scope gaps. If it's not turnkey, Jim's CDs are my contract documents. At the end of the day, when I'm writing my contract to whatever the trade partner is it's going to hold you accountable for Jim's CDs at the end of the day. If I start pulling all those pieces apart, that's where you have scope gap issues. Roof leaders coming down to the drainage system. Who's picking that up? Well, we only took the 5 feet outside the building. We hired the site contractor. You always open yourself up to potentials like that. I think a lot of it comes down to anytime you have another company working for another company, you're going to get somebody that gets money off. It's this compounding piece. All of a sudden you have a $3 million site contractor over your scope of work. Now I got 10% of it. Like that's going to be on top. Well, if I can look at that $3 million with 10%, that's where I start to balance what is my contingency now? Where are my errors? If that number is huge, that might give me a lot of room for a scope gap. And I'm okay to get a change order because it was more competitive at that level. It's a push and pull. It's going to be a push and pull, and it's normally about dollars. And that's where it really comes down to is the bigger the dollar, the bigger percentage. What are you managing per se of that site contractor? I'm expecting that site contractor that is pretty much manages his own heat that's out there. And we have our own people that work for us that are also on site out there. So it's like doubling up. But yes, I've opened myself up to a scope gap or something I might have overlooked or a delay in schedule. That's probably one of the other driving factors for it. Did I get you guys water or power on time? Did you have to stop? Versus if it's in your court, that's your fate. You know what I mean? You're kind of now controlling all. I'd say that's kind of where it opens yourself up.